Welcome. I'm very honored to have Minister Hunter and Minister Naidoo-Harris here today for the announcement. It's a real honor for them to be here at LifeBridge. I'm hoping and hopeful that this announcement will affect children, parents, and the quality of childcare in Ontario. So thank you so much for being here. And
thank you. Thank you very much, Marilyn, first of all, for welcoming us to your beautiful center here at LifeBridge. And it's really a thrill for us to be here with all of you this morning. I want to acknowledge that Janet Davis, City Councillor, is also here with us as well. But I especially want to say thank you to the staff and everyone here at LifeBridge for warmly welcoming us, and especially to all of the children in the senior preschool room who were so lovely to meet this morning. I wanted to start off by ensuring that we acknowledge that Toronto is located on the traditional territories of many Indigenous people, dating back countless generations. We want to show respect for their contributions and recognize the role of treaty making in what is now Ontario. Hundreds of years after those original treaties were signed, they are still relevant to us all today. In my role as the Minister of Education, I have the opportunity to speak to parents from across the province who tell me about the responsibility it takes to raise a child and the importance of high quality, affordable childcare. I have seen firsthand how parents and families really value and rely on these services. And I know that right here at LifeBridge, it is a wonderful center that is close to work and providing a very, very, very valuable support to families. Recently, I met parents at Silver Creek Preschool who told me how important this service is for the children, for parents, and for families that need them. Especially now, if you're a working parent, you also know that finding quality childcare is extremely important to balance your family's needs along with your work schedule. So we all know that childcare and the right early years programs and supports play a crucial role in a child's healthy development and lifelong success. In other words, laying a solid foundation in a child's earliest years dramatically increases their opportunities in life and a chance for a brighter future. And that's why, in recent years, our government has been working hard modernizing childcare services. Most notably, we enacted the Child Care and Early Years Act, the first new childcare legislation in our province in almost 70 years. It increased oversight in the early years and childcare sector and further supported the health, safety, and the well-being of children. In addition to new legislation and regulations, we also rolled out full-day kindergarten for 4- and 5-year-olds in this province. More than 1 million children have already benefited from this process. Expanded school-based childcare spaces to support easier transitions for children and families, expanded before and after school care, banned fees for childcare wait lists. We're moving forward on the integration of our child and family supports program, but we won't stop there. We will continue to respond to the needs of parents in Ontario. Our actions haven't been just about things better today. We're also investing in the future. We want to lay a solid foundation in a child's earliest years so that they can be successful through their entire career in school. This is part of a full continuum of learning where students can develop, grow, learn, and become engaged and productive citizens. Recognizing the crucial role relationships play in raising a child, the ministry has developed strong partnerships between school boards, municipalities, Indigenous communities, Francophone partners, childcare and early years providers, and community members to better coordinate collective efforts across the province. This collaboration has helped Ontario double the number of licensed childcare spaces in schools since 2010, giving more families access to high quality, seamless day. Ontario is a leader when it comes to supporting children and student success. Ontario already has one of the best childcare and early years and education systems in the entire world because we are committed to promoting equity, diversity, inclusion, and well-being. Our vision for the continuum of learning is designed to help students up to the age of 12 grow into confident and caring citizens while giving families the convenience and benefits of a well-integrated system. We continue to think big, and we continue to think about how to take our early years and childcare system to even greater heights, because we want to make sure that things are even better for our children and families. So, to maintain this positive momentum, we need a clear path forward, an ambitious plan to guide us into the future. And we've been working hard on this plan, and we're very proud of the results. So, to speak more about this exciting blueprint for the future and how we're transforming our early years and childcare system to better serve the province's children and families, I am thrilled to introduce my dear colleague, Indira Naidoo-Harris, the Minister responsible for early years and childcare, who has been working tirelessly on this file for about a year. And let's hear more about what you've been up to. Thank you, merci, and miigwech. Indira?
Thank you so much, Minister Hunter, and good afternoon, everyone. I cannot tell you how pleased and excited I am to be here with you all this morning for what I know is a very special announcement. I want to start, of course, by thanking the staff here at Lifebridge Childcare for hosting us this morning. It's an amazing facility. It's been wonderful to visit with all the young children here today, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself and my time with them. As Minister Hunter said, one of our government's top priorities has been modernizing our early years and childcare system. In fact, in last fall's throne speech, we made a historic commitment to help 100,000 more children aged 0 to 4 years old access licensed childcare within 5 years. It was an ambitious commitment, and we got to work immediately. We started by holding consultations. We heard from families, parents, experts, and care providers about what they thought was important for creating a high-quality, accessible childcare system. We visited 20 different communities. We met face-to-face with more than 2,000 people, and we received 6,000 responses to our online survey. But that's not all. We also had numerous stakeholder and expert stakeholder meetings. It was absolutely energizing. It was informative, it was responsive and rewarding, and the response was really amazing. Today, we're taking the next big leap to transform the way we are delivering childcare in this province. Today, we are launching Ontario's renewed early years and childcare policy framework and expansion plan. This will be a blueprint. It will be a blueprint around which we build a foundation for quality, affordable, accessible childcare in our province. We're also announcing major financial investments towards helping 100,000 more children access quality licensed childcare. So this is a big day. It's the result of thousands of conversations and countless hours of hard work. And I want you to know that I am proud of my team and proud of our work. Now, our plan has 7 specific action items, so here they come. The first is increasing access to programs and services. So, as part of our 5-year expansion plan, the government is committing $1.6 billion in capital funding. We are committing $1.6 billion in capital funding. We're committing this money because we know that we need this new capital funding. It's a substantial commitment. In fact, it's Ontario's largest ever investment in capital funding for childcare. It will support the creation of 45,000 new spaces in schools, publicly owned buildings across Ontario, and in places of employment. And we're accepting applications starting right away. In addition, for the first time, we will provide targeted base funding to support expansion in the licensed home childcare sector, where we know there is a need. Parents told us they wish there were more home childcare opportunities in their local neighborhoods, and I want you to know that we listened. We also heard about the need for more flexible, responsive childcare, unique approaches for unique situations. So, a key commitment of our plan is the creation of an application-based innovation fund. We're creating an innovation fund, the first of its kind in Ontario's early years and childcare system. Starting in 2018, people will be able to apply for funding to help bring their innovative childcare ideas to life. This will include care during irregular or seasonal times and work hours. It will include care during the evenings or weekends, and it will mean more nonprofit options and integration between early years programs. Our plan will also focus on enhancing access to diverse and culturally relevant child and family programs and licensed childcare in Indigenous communities. We'll work in partnership with First Nations and federal partners to assess early years and childcare needs on reserve. And we'll be looking at options to make sure we continue to prioritize not-for-profit operators and ensure they have the support that they need to grow. Because we want to see this expansion be led by the not-for-profit sector, and we know they will need our help and support. I want you to know that this framework sets us on a path towards a universally accessible childcare system for Ontario families. One where every Ontario family that needs licensed childcare can access that care, where every family that needs an affordable childcare can access that care, and one where every family that wants quality care can get that care. Our second action item is enhanced affordability. As we all know, the cost of childcare is high. It was the top concern raised during our consultations. That's why we're taking a multi-pronged approach to affordability. In April, we announced a $200 million investment that will start to benefit families this year, with at least 16,000 subsidized spaces. Think about that. 16,000 more kids getting subsidized spots next year. We are also providing additional funding for operators that can be used to stabilize local childcare fees and support staff and quality. And finally, we will work with an external expert. We will work with that expert to develop an affordability strategy, a strategy that will transform the system to make it more affordable and fair for everyone. This transformative approach will identify new ways to reduce costs for both low-income and middle-income families and allow us to find solid, long-term solutions to the challenges of affordable childcare. This is what the sector told us they wanted. The third action item is developing a workforce strategy for early childhood educators. With our expansion plan, it's estimated that we will need an additional 20,000 more early childhood educators. In Ontario, we're fortunate to have world-class ECEs, but we need to do more to help recruit and retain these frontline childcare professionals. And so that's why we're launching a workforce strategy, a strategy with external experts to identify steps we can take over the medium term to better support Ontario ECEs. This strategy will provide us with direction in key areas, including compensation, professional development, hiring, retention, and, of course, education. In the immediate term, we are pleased to announce that the government will fund 2 professional development events a year, starting in 2018, to support learning and leadership opportunities for our early years and childcare staff. They told us that this was something that they wanted. And we will continue to improve compensation by providing ongoing funding to enhance wages for eligible childcare and early years staff. Now, for our 4th action item, we will work with our sector partners to establish a provincial definition of quality. That will allow us to identify and embed quality in our childcare system. Why? Because we know that a child's growth depends on learning in a positive, safe, and inclusive environment. And it depends on building reciprocal relationships between ECEs and families and ensuring that our ECEs are properly supported. Our 5th action item is developing a renewed approach to inclusion in early years and childcare settings. This commitment directly responds to feedback from families, communities, and partners who've told us about key issues for children with special needs. Our consultations told us that there are a growing number of kids in Ontario who have special needs and require special care. This is something we have to monitor and respond to. So, starting this year, we will work with our partners to assess current services and supports available through special needs resourcing and ensure alignment between broader strategies and programs. And we'll be looking at all things: special needs, diversity, our responsiveness in terms of, whether it's autism, mental health. We'll be looking at a whole gamut of things. Our 6th action item is an outcomes and measurement strategy. We know that as we transform and improve our system, we also need to track our progress. We all want a high-quality system, but we also know that embedding quality will depend on tools to measure it. We need to know what we're talking about so that we know what is working and what isn't working. This is why we will develop a more strategic approach to measuring and tracking early years and childcare outcomes. Finally, our 7th action item is public awareness. I heard about public awareness throughout the province, whether it was from parents and communities or childcare providers. We know it can be difficult for parents to navigate and understand the full spectrum of options out there when it comes to programs that are available in childcare. So, we're launching a province-wide public awareness campaign, and we're creating a one-stop hub, a one-stop online hub for parents and families. This online resource will provide access to information about childcare, early years programs, and services. It's something that we know parents and communities are really looking forward to seeing. Overall, we recognize that our plan is both transformative and bold. But we are deliberately thinking big, as Minister Hunter mentioned. Thinking big and aiming high on behalf of Ontario's children, families, and childcare professionals. This comprehensive framework will position Ontario as a leader in the sector. By creating a strong system of early years and childcare programs, we can help children and families promote women and parents' participation in the workforce, support our world-class early childhood professionals, and strengthen Ontario as a whole. We're building today for a brighter future tomorrow. It's been a great honor to be here with you all today. Thank you for having me, and I'm now ready to take some questions. Yes?
How do these points how are you specifically addressing unlicensed daycares? Are there any changes in that domain?
So we are moving forward with the framework. You've got to look at the framework as really creating a doorway, right? We're creating a doorway and establishing a number of different paths forward. But we are concentrating our efforts absolutely on licensed care. Everything that we're doing in the next little while is to ensure that we are creating 100,000 new licensed childcare spaces, and that is the area that we are monitoring and looking at.
But are there any changes specifically to unlicensed daycares?
So I can talk to you more about the programs when it comes to early years programs that are available there. But this framework is really about licensed childcare spaces. Absolutely, we have pieces in place that will monitor in terms of our enforcement teams and things like that. But this is about growing the sector. That's where our commitment was. The structures that are in place when it comes to ensuring that we have our enforcement teams and monitoring in place will continue, but this piece is really about how we're going to grow the sector, and we're concentrating our efforts on licensed childcare.
How is this plan going to help the middle-class families who can't have the subsidies, but are still struggling to pay for the $1,700 or $1,800 a month that they have to pay for daycare in the next year?
So this plan is very much going to help families of all sorts, right? But absolutely, it will affect affordability and accessibility when it comes to childcare in the province, specifically low-income and middle-income families, as I mentioned. So right off the bat, when we moved $200 million forward recently, 16,000 spaces of the 24,000 we're creating are subsidized spaces. Those subsidized spaces will address low to middle-income families' needs. So right off the bat, we're doing that. But we recognize that we need to look at the entire system and bring about foundational and fundamental change. And that's where our affordability strategy comes in. We're moving forward with an affordability strategy that's going to do a deeper dive to look into really what the guidelines are when it comes to subsidies and ensure that we are really making transformational change across the province on a very real basic level that will ensure that more families can access subsidized care.
Minister,
You say you're moving towards universal child care, but this is a far cry from what they have in Quebec, for example.
So I can just tell you that as far as I'm concerned, this is a Made in Ontario plan, essentially. It's a Made in Ontario plan, and what we're really trying to do is create enough affordable, licensed childcare for kids as needed in the province. And we are confident that what we are doing today is creating enough affordable, licensed childcare spaces, creating access and affordability to take care of the needs of families.
When people hear universal child care and affordability, I mean, what is your definition of affordable? Like, are people still going to be paying $1,000 a month for a daycare spot?
So I think our affordability study will give us a better sense of where the lines are and what the guidelines are in terms of that. Right off the bat, we are increasing the subsidies and increasing the people who will be able to access those subsidies. So almost immediately in the next year, you're going to see a major shift in the sector. Look, I met with a number of early child care providers and experts this morning, and I can tell you that they got it. They were very supportive of what we were doing. They were very supportive of the transformation that this is going to bring about, and they recognize that in order to deliver what we need to deliver, we need to move at two different speeds. So on the one hand, what are we going to do in the coming year or two immediately to make a big change in the sector that will allow more parents to access childcare spots and affordability? On the other end of the spectrum, ensuring that we are bringing about that transformational change that will lead to a really new and restructured system. And so every piece that we're doing has, all of the various points has a sort of immediate delivery, an action item, but also something that is a longer term piece that we will be looking at.
True universal daycare is something the province simply can't afford.
So really, I think it gets down to how you define things. We are looking at creating a system that gives access and affordability to Ontario families when it comes to childcare. We want to create enough accessible, affordable spaces in this province. That's what we're trying to do, and that's what we will do, and that's what this plan sets out to do.
But you haven't defined what affordable means.
Oh, well, the affordability piece will really mean different things, you're right, to different families. But, for example, a family that is lower income or middle income, we're looking very much at that sector and ensuring that we're broadening the subsidy guidelines there. And our affordability strategy will give us more of an informed path forward over the next little while.
When will the strategy be ready? When are you hoping to have that strategy in place with a blueprint to getting to that affordability?
So that's a great question. We want to bring in an independent expert, and you should be getting an announcement about who will be leading those discussions in the next little while. So we're Oh, absolutely.
What is that deadline?
That deadline I can give you a little more clarity on later, but the first step is to find that person and get them working on it. Not sure exactly what the timelines are, but we are getting to work almost right away by bringing someone in to tell us what the scope of the job is and where they feel we should be headed.
Those 16,000 subsidized childcare.
Sorry?
The 16,000 subsidized childcare spaces. What's the wage of the revenue of or the salary of the family who can qualify for those?
So the thing about the subsidy system, the way it exists right now, is that you need to understand the province doesn't directly fund the childcare spots. So what we do is we fund municipalities. And so depending on where you are in the province, there are some subsidy guidelines that differ depending on different urban areas. That is why we feel we need the affordability study to really ensure that we're bringing some clarity and consistency to what's happening in the subsidized childcare spots across the province. What I can tell you is, right off the bat, we have moved $200 million forward to create 24,000 new licensed childcare spaces. Of that, a large amount of those spaces, 16,000, will be subsidized spaces. And if you look across the province, and certainly in urban areas, a number of people are on wait lists because they haven't been able to access subsidized spots. So almost right away, within the next year, you will see a considerable change in the sector in terms of families that will now be able to access subsidized spots. In terms of where the lines are and where they should be and where we need to go forward, we're going to take that affordability study and look at it a little more closely because we recognize that we need to bring about transformational change. But we also recognize that families need help today. I don't want to have any family sit around and waiting while we do this. Instead, we're moving forward with spaces right off the bat, and we're creating a system and a plan to ensure that as we move forward, we get it right and we make the deeper changes that need to be made.
Last question, folks. Last question.
I'm just trying to understand how middle-income parents fit into this because studies have demonstrated that they make too much money to qualify for a subsidy, but not enough to afford childcare while still paying for the rest of their household expenses. So are you suggesting that higher than low-income earning parents will now qualify for subsidies, or you'll be reducing the overall cost of daycare so that there's less of a pressure on that middle-income group?
I'm saying that we're moving forward with more subsidies, and those subsidies will apply to low-income and middle-income families. We're going to work with the guidelines we have right now, and depending on where you live in the province, that will kind of dictate what those guidelines are. But we recognize that we're going to be tweaking those guidelines, and that's where the affordability strategy comes in. Having said that, please do remember that we are going to be, right off the bat, having more families that are low income and middle income be able to access spots that are subsidized right away. 16,000 of those will be rolled out within the next year.
What are you doing for families who
Can I
pay
just
more
say
for
one-
childcare than their mortgage?
Can I just say one thing, just with respect to the access and the affordability? Because we talked about the continuum of learning, starting with our earliest from 0 to 4, which is the focus of the expansion of the childcare program and the 100,000 childcare spots. I mentioned to you the full-day kindergarten investment that we make to ensure that our students get access to learning right away. That's saving families around $6,500 each year with the access to full-day kindergarten. We have before and after school care. Many of the child care capital is also within schools, making it seamless for families. So when we talk about moving towards universal access to childcare, it's a whole system and a continuum of care that we're looking at, and this is moving us closer towards that objective.
Minister, with all respect, families
that's
are
all the time we
struggling.
have.
Yeah,
Why
you've
are
got
you
enough
cutting
time
this
to answer
off?
another
Why are you
question.
cutting this off? We've got
I'm
lots of
sorry, the
questions
minister
here
does
on a
have to
really
get to another
important
meeting
issue.
at this point.
Minister,
Yeah.
lots of families have been struggling for years, myself included, because my eldest is 17 years old now. With these families paying more for a mortgage than childcare for 2 children. What are you doing for those families now? Because what I'm hearing is this is a plan to announce a plan.
No. We've moved $200 million forward already. Let's not forget that we spend more than $1 billion a year as it is when it comes to childcare in the province. Right off the bat, by moving the $200 million in, it's a huge influx of money that hasn't happened before of this magnitude. And by doing that, certainly 24,000 of the spaces that we are creating will apply to the people you're talking about. So absolutely, and those who need funding when it comes to subsidized spots, those who qualify, we will now increase that by allowing 16,000 more kids into the system. So I want to be clear that what we are doing is absolutely bringing 16,000 more kids and families who are low and middle income families, bringing them a spot over the next little while. In addition to that, we are going to be creating in total 24,000 new spots. This is going to have an impact on the system out there and the childcare sector like you haven't seen in the past, and it will be happening in the 2017 and 18 year. And I spoke with many people in the sector this morning, and they all got it. They all understood completely what was happening, and they told us and told me during our consultations and so on, please do not come up with a stopgap measure that's only going to help people immediately. We need you to transform the system, and we need you to take time and get it right. I had many calls and many consultations with people who said, you need to really understand what's going on in the sector, take your time. But at the same time, I understood that those parents who have a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old in the system could not wait 3 years or 2 years or a year. We needed to move forward things immediately, and so we're doing this on both levels. There will be thousands of families getting access to spots right now and access to subsidized spots. Those families who didn't have access before or were having troubles being able to afford access to accessible childcare spots will get it. And let's not forget the base funding that we're also moving forward for home childcare is also going to make a real difference in the sector. Those families that live in neighborhoods where there's someone that is wanting to provide childcare and there's a system in place, we're going to move base funding forward to help those operators also. So this licensed, of course. This is going to be a plan that moves on many different levels and in many different ways, because we pledged to give Ontario families options. We wanted people to have freedom of choice, because no parent wants a government to tell them where they should leave their child when it comes to childcare. I'm a parent, and when I move my child into a childcare system, I want to feel comfortable about what I'm doing. And so as a government and as a team, and after listening to the sector, we decided that the best way to do this was to move affordable, accessible childcare into all levels and all sectors that were out there, whether it was community-based, school-based, or home childcare.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.